Chapter 31. The next few days flew by. I basically ran around like a chicken with its head cut off, as my grandmother would say. On Wednesday morning, Mr. Health Inspector came by. He appeared to be in the same foul mood as last time, scowling and making humph sounds. I made sure Ratcatcher was upstairs while he poked through the pantry, swabbing for bubonic plague. He set some test tubes and eyedroppers on the counter. Finally, he handed me a piece of paper. You pass, but you must replace the broken dishwasher. Everything else seems satisfactory. What he did not say was, I'm so sorry to have closed you down unnecessarily. Great, I said, holding the door open for him. Passing the inspection was good news. But his visit had totally slowed us down. In order to make enough money to buy a new dishwasher, we needed to get Ratcatcher Emporium up and running. When I say we, I'm talking about Elizabeth, Elliot, Irmgard, and the boys. Malcolm had disappeared, again. Right after the sinkhole incident, which was what the Nordby News had called it, Malcolm had grabbed his satchel and hadn't been seen since. But he'd be back. After all, he still owed me a magical coffee bean, and we were supposed to go on that date. Not that I was thinking about that. Not at all. Going on a date with an angel to the Solstice Festival was the last thing on my mind. The very last thing, really. The sinkhole ended up swallowing 3 parking spaces. A crane was brought in to lift out the Buick. Except for a few scratches, the car was miraculously undamaged. Which was great, because buying a new car was not an expense I wanted to add to the list. The city engineer called the sinkhole a natural disaster, even though there was nothing natural about it. That morning at Irmgard's had changed everything. Now I understood her attentiveness and why she had kept a close eye on me at all times. Her life with us suddenly made sense. She had become a surrogate mother for her own sake as much as for me. I would struggle with anger and blame like any normal person. What I learned was that tragedy spreads out in a wide circle, like a drop of dye in a pool, touching many lives. We would work through it together. Over the days after the sinkhole, Irmgard started to speak. The first thing she said was, I'm sorry. People say I'm sorry every day. We say it about little things, about unimportant things. But this was the biggest I'm sorry I'd ever heard. We hugged and cried some more. Later, when Ralph sat at the counter and bid her good morning, she said, Good morning. He nearly fell off the stool. But her words were few and carefully selected. Another person might have the opposite reaction to getting her voice back. She might talk about everything, even if it was totally boring. She might sing all day, yell as loud as she could, and yodel from the rooftop. But Irmgard treated her voice as if it was something precious. Odin said that if more people acted like Irmgard and kept their stupid opinions to themselves, the world would be a better place. Things moved forward for our grand opening. I went to City Hall and got a temporary business license. Ingvard made a sign. Elizabeth painted it with the smiling cat logo she had designed. Odin and Ralph cleared the coffeehouse, stacking all the chairs and tables in the back office. Lars and Elliot set up shelves that had been gathering dust in Officer Larson's basement. The merchandise began to show up on Thursday morning. The cutest coffee mugs with Ratcatcher's fat face, plastic cat food dishes with her name, pink headbands with cat ears, black headbands with rat ears, all sorts of silly stuff. Mr. Darling poked his big arrogant head in a million times to ask what we were doing. You need a business license. I have one. You can't have a cat in a place that serves food. I'm not serving food. Why don't you mind your own business? I said, right in his face, confidence rushing through me. He narrowed his eyes, then ran his hand through his thin ponytail. You won't be able to save this place. As soon as the sale goes through, I'm kicking you out of here. You have no legal right to kick us out as long as we pay the rent. He snickered. You think that stupid cat is going to help you pay the rent? Ratcatcher Emporium. What a waste of time. Ingvard and Odin escorted Mr. Darling out the door. I tried to keep the Emporium a secret from my grandmother because I knew it would stress her out, but the ladies from the shoe shop told her. What's going on down there? She asked over the phone. I'm stuck in this hospital bed, and you're doing I don't know what. You said you wanted to close the coffeehouse. Yes, but the coffeehouse is closed. But Grandma, we can't ignore our problems or be embarrassed by them. Elliot helped me make a spreadsheet, and we've got a lot of debt to pay, so I'm going to take advantage of the solstice crowds. We're going to make some money. It's going to be great. Why did I feel so excited and giddy? I was risking our few last dollars, but risk feeds the entrepreneur's soul. Risk makes you feel like you've had way too much coffee and are waiting at the very top of a roller coaster right before the plunge. I liked the feeling. Every time our front door opened, I expected to see Malcolm, but he stayed away. I wished he'd join us, and I whispered his name when no one could hear me. On Thursday afternoon, after talking to a local travel agent who wanted to book some Ratcatcher tours, we got the best news of all. Elliot's dad got the rat. Don't ask me how he did it, but he's some kind of attorney god. The taxidermist agreed to stuff it and deliver it Friday morning. I asked him to stand the creature on its hind legs so it would be tall enough for photos. Ingvar and Irmgard created a pedestal out of an old stool and some red fabric. Ralph suspended a world's largest rat sign from the ceiling. On the other side of the emporium, Elizabeth and Elliot painted an old wooden chair to look like a throne. Odin hung a world's famous cat sign. The throne was complete when Elizabeth added a velvet pillow from her bed. On Thursday night, we gathered upstairs to eat Irmgard's corn chowder. Sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by friends, I felt happier than I had in a long time. Tomorrow would be an exciting day. I went over everyone's duties, then stood and raised my water glass in a heartfelt toast. Here's to all of you, I said, feeling suddenly shy as everyone looked at me. I couldn't have done this alone. Don't underestimate yourself, Lars said, his cane leaning against his chair. You've got a good head on your shoulders. If your grandfather were here, he'd be really proud, Ingvard said. Thank you. I raised the glass higher. Here's to old friends and to new ones. I nodded at Elliot. He sat next to Elizabeth. Funny, but during the past few days she hadn't mentioned face at all. Ratcatcher jumped onto the table and licked my empty chowder bowl. And here's to Ratcatcher, the world's most famous cat. To Ratcatcher, everyone cried. Ratcatcher thought we were yelling at her, so she jumped off the table. As the meal wound down, I wandered over to the living room window. The Solstice Festival was most fun when it snowed, but not a cloud hung in the star-filled sky. No angel wandered down the street. No best friend rode past on his bike. Happiness is sweetest when shared, my grandmother liked to say. Vincent had always been part of my happiest memories. I remembered the word that had floated on Irmgard's message, live. How many of us needed to be reminded that living had nothing to do with trying to be as good as someone else, or trying to fit into some category, or filling in blanks on a stupid checklist, that it had nothing to do with punishing yourself for past mistakes. I was stupid to stay mad at Vincent. Who cared if he had gone inside Java Heaven to make snowflakes? Who cared if he had held some stupid cup on TV? The law that I had imposed on my friends, thou shalt never ever partake of Java Heaven coffee, wasn't important anymore. We were moving forward. I was moving forward. I picked up the phone to call him, but he didn't answer.